Hello, students and my dear colleagues. Today we are once again on a very small lesson. This is rather unusual out of the syllabi. Perhaps a few universities have this short story by Zaibunissa Hameedullah. The title of the story is Ma. So, welcome to the lesson. Let's have a start with that. Everyone should know, first of all, that Zaibunissa Hameedullah is a Pakistani post-colonial short story writer. Her short stories depict the theme of local indigenous tradition and culture. She very less portrays the modern type of life. However, she continues to compare the modernness with the traditional life. Her short stories give a message that compromise to make life happy is very good. However, there should be certain changes with respect to the women and their role in the family making as well. And that she expects from men that they should behave properly and they must be sensitized about the position of the women. But alongside that, she tries to celebrate the importance of women in a number of ways. For example, her story, the she devil, that again goes to portray how women can be effective. Same is the case with the young wife, that her misconceptions rather I should say, about marriage are broken. Same is the case with this story, that it also goes to talk about the traditional loss of values and the repairing of those values in order to create something good in the Pakistani society for the peace and the prosperity of the families in Pakistan. So, a short story, Ma, is the painful story about a man who falls ill, and in his illness, he becomes unconscious. And during his unconsciousness, he invites his mother by speaking the word Ma again and again. So, this is just a childish thing that if the child or a baby falls down, immediately he would call the mother. And same is the case with the man who is very much old. But then, by proving this fact and reality, Zaibunissa Hameedullah has tried to compare it with the young woman. The old is the mother, young is the wife. So the traditional competition also goes on, but still, the role of mother and her touch and her prayer and her closeness, togetherness, that has been stressed by the writer in this short story. Let us have a brief review of the text itself so that the students can definitely talk about the text as well. So I'm going to show this text, and here the story is starting. The pain thirsts at him again. So the start of the story is with the critical moment when a man is ill, and in his illness he's crying again and again. He's unconscious and doesn't know what he's saying to anyone. For example, the passage which I want the students to concentrate on is here. Tossing in the bed, this is an underlined paragraph. Tossing in the bed, tormented and terrified, he cried out in his agony, and the hushed house suddenly resounded with one word, Ma. Again it was repeated, and then again, and yet again. But softer now, and as the morphia began to do its blessed work more gently, until exhausted and drugged he drowsed. So, what we can see here is the cry of a man, the painful cry of a man who is not a young baby, he's a very old person. But very soon, when he falls, it becomes unconscious, and in his pain, he calls his mother for help again and again. And he calls it not for once or twice, but for many times until he becomes totally unconscious and sleeps it out. But also, the repetition is there. Along with that, the louderness of this call is also there. That louderness goes to indicate how internally the psychology of that man is interlinked with the mother, and he tries to bring it into him in order to find peace. So he's calling the mother again and again in his pain, in his agony. Let's go further and see what happens next. For example, the next passage says, Na's over-painted lips were disdainful, and as the cry of the dying man came yet once again towards them, she rose from the sofa, tiny lines of irritation etched on her forehead, and walked towards the bedroom. Even she did so, her black eyes met the even blacker ones of her stepson, and her carefully manicured hands twisted nervously the gold bangles around her wrist. So the real twist in the story is entering right now, where we see that not only the old man is there, but also his young wife is also present. And that young wife is also facing one young boy who's the son of that man. It means definitely this is a traditional case of the second young wife, and is the acceptance and rejection of the relations on the part of the young people from towards the old people. So here the young wife is beautiful. Her beauty has been enhanced by the description of the lips and the eyes of that woman and the bangles which she is wearing, and the harshness in the eyes of the boy, because he is very much upset when he looks at his father and listens the cries of the father. and watches out that the mother is not that attracted towards these cries. She is trying to pose that she is absolutely necessary, and her husband should not have fallen ill, and even if he has fallen ill, he should not talk about the mother. So that's the traditional rivalry of the mother and the daughter-in-law also being indicated by the writer here. Let's further go deep into the story, and we shall see here another line that I have underlined: all the properties in her name, and she's not the type to fret. So that is the selfishness of the woman, that the man has given all the property to her in order to marry her. But when he's very much ill, he's about to die, at that moment, this woman, the young woman, is not that happy. And she's not showing, however, she's showing concern outside. The writer indicates that the feelings inside her are of a great selfish woman, as the lines here indicate that Naz meanwhile stood looking down at her aged husband, so ugly in his agony, if only he would not take so long to die. She thought impatiently. Okay, so this is the kind of internal condition of this young woman at this time. That is why I have written she is a selfish woman, because she is not going to take care of the old husband, because he is looking right now an ugly man to her. Only she is thinking that he should die as soon as possible. So that's the kind of thing here that we witness about the young woman whose husband is old and he's crying, he's weeping, he's calling his mother, and the young woman is wishing that he should die as soon as possible. The inverted comment comes here that says, "This is the creature for whom I betrayed the mother of my children, gave up my village home, my parents, etc." So that is the regret that every man would like to, utter out after the marriage. Before the time the man is behind a woman and wants to marry her, that doesn't stop him from doing anything. He leaves everything. The same has been portrayed here. And after he is married, he continues to think that he made a mistake, because on the one hand, the young wife is there. On the other hand, relations, the village, the connections, the roots, the mother, everything is there. He's left everything for this woman, and that woman is not going to pay him that type of attention. And this is the regret that comes out of the mind of the man. So man is in a situation where regrets are there, which is calling his mother, not his wife, though he is trying to, keep his wife satisfied as well. Let's see more what this and how this drama unfolds by reading more passages out of this short story. Well, one more line is there. Ma, the agonized cry of the tormented man, querying with appeal, shocked them into silence. Again, the man cries out, the mother, the ma in his pain, and he doesn't cry out any other body, only it is the mother. And he cries it continuously, chanting, "Ma, ma, ma, I'm going to bring grandmother." The son ultimately stands up and says that he would definitely bring the grandmother, as the father wants to see her, wants her touch there, and that is why it is here. But her daughter-in-law was before her. "Here, ma," she said gently, "here's a sari for you to change into." "Thank you, daughter," said the old woman tenderly as she watched the woman her eldest son had wronged by deserting after he had taken into himself a second wife shake out the spotless stretched homespun with its broad black border. So mother has been brought by the son of that man. The mother is right now here. But the contrast is definitely shown between the young woman who's the wife of this man and the mother. Mother is definitely old and she's not that beautiful. She's looking ugly because she's a villager, and she's not that neat and clean, and she's wearing shabby clothes as well. And this is the standard of difference that the daughter-in-law immediately offers one sari to her that she should wear and she should look nice. And so in that way, the proof is being given that mother is not as good as the daughter-in-law is. They are good looking in the sense that, and therefore the mother is here, and let's see what happens there. When the mother has come, how does the son, who is a son very much ill, how does he behave? The son, for example, says in the next scene, "I always knew that there was something great in him," she told herself proudly, "something that marked him above the other village boys, even his brothers." And she recalled with satisfaction how she had fought for and succeeded in getting his father to sell a piece of their precious land, and with the money send him to Europe for further studies. So these paragraphs indicate the sacrifices of the old woman. When she was the mom of this man, she forced her husband to sell the land and to give higher possible education to her son. So in this way, the past is being reflected by the writer by going back into flashback to let the mother know that this is the son for whom he sacrificed, but ultimately the son deserted her for his wife, young wife. And the old woman sighed how she had yearned for him to these years. So this paragraph also goes to indicate another kind of sacrifice which the woman gave, the mother gave, because she has been waiting for her son. She has been thinking about her son. She has been wishing to meet her son, but all went without any, proof or without any fulfillment. And so once again, she's here when she's demanded. So that goes to highlight the spirit of the mother. However, and in whatever way we keep on treating our mothers, definitely they are the mothers and they would behave like the mothers. So here also, once again, we have a traditional mother who has come to help her son when he needs her in his agony, especially we can say. The mother is here. She is old, definitely, and as the writer has described about the beauty of the young wife, and he's also going to contrast this beauty with the oldness, ugliness of the woman, and that is why the small paragraph is here. This should be read with similar tone. The old woman, once she was out of the car and upstairs, became courageous, small and shrunken though she was. She walked with dignity, hiding her work-worn fingers deep in the fold of her sari, her chappals going clippity-clop on the marble floor, and her big bunch of keys swinging to and fro from the knot at the end of her sari. So again, the indication is that the woman who is the mother, she's living in a very poor condition. She's not at all happy. She's not trying to do the things which the young woman is doing. So in this way, what is happening actually in the sense that old woman has come and her the poverty, her oldness, her ugliness is quite visible. But still the real scene is to come, and for this we need to go again there. Ma, the cry was music to her ears. Forgetting her shame and her fear, she followed her grandson as fast as her ill-shod feet would allow towards the room from where that sweetest of sounds was coming again and again. Ma, ma, ma. So when mother entered there, the man was continuously crying, and this was a source of encouragement for the mother. That is why she ran. She stepped fastly, whatever the condition she was in. She was not feeling shameful at all, and she reached her son in order to have a look at him. And the daughter-in-law is also there, but the treatment is in the hand of the mother. The touch of his flesh on her seems to bring her dormant mother to life. This was a son, yes, her son, flesh of her son, blood of her blood, and he needed her desperately in this hour of his agony. Billu, she whispered tenderly, using the pet name of his childhood. Billu, she repeated, stroking him gently. So for the mother, the old man is the same as her child was, whom she named as Billu. So the tenderness and the love of the mother is the same, because he is the blood, he is the flesh of the same woman, and that's why she's happy to see him, and the touch of that very man makes her feel even good. And when she touches him, what happens actually? And this paragraph shows all that. And that was all that the other could hear, and yet it was as if everything these two had to say to each other was said, as if all barriers were down, and mother and child were once again. The man felt comfort and healing creep into his soul, soothing him and washing away his fear of death, but best of all his desire to die, for once again he felt warm and snug and safe, and wanted even as he was wont to feel in childhood, within his mother's arms. And confronted, the man slept, and he slept throughout the day and night, healthy, healing sleep such as he had not had since the attack. The doctors and the nurses nodded, well pleased. The crisis is over, said the specialist. He will live. Now this is the kind of very strange thing that the man, just after having the touch of the mother, started to cure. His disease, diminished, weakened, and as a result, the painful cries which he was uttering, those also have gone down, and there's no more cry at all. This seems to be a type of magical realism, but the writer is just trying to force on that perhaps something inside us dies when we go away from our parents, and when they come back, that relives. And that thing is the internal power of the person to control the disease and to get over that disease, and the same is happening here. It may be taken as the magical realism by the modern man, but of course it is the touch of the mother, it is the healing touch of the mother, it is the power that the mother definitely transports from herself into the son whose mother she is going to be. And that is traditionally accepted. Definitely mothers prove helpful and very much beneficial for their sons, and that the writer is trying to indicate very beautifully. She has provided a chance to show that how mother's touch, how mother's closeness, how mother's thinking, how mother's love can change the life of a person. So the person is curing. What happens after the man is cured? What happens? That we need to look at. Doctors have attested the disease is gone and the man is okay. Let us see what happens after that. That's really very much interesting. So when the man is over, the crisis is over. In the next passage, the man comes up and he sleeps it out and everything he's doing. But the very first thing which he did, and almost triumphant, the young woman pushed the elder one aside and going to the bed, kissed her husband brazenly on the top of his balding head. I have been so worried about you, darling, she said in accent of utmost tenderness. That's the height of our double standards and hypocrisy, that when he was crying with pain, the woman wished his early death. But when he is cured at that time, what she is saying, that she has been worried, she has been upset, she has been weeping, she has been crying, and she put the old woman aside and gave this satisfaction to her husband. So this is the difference that Shakespeare would point out, that the appearances are always deceptive. Apparently, wife is very faithful, very happy, but internally she's not. Well, I don't say that all wives are like that, but few could be possibly like that, who would wish that instead of living with an old man, weak man, crying man, they would wish that he should die, especially if they have got the control of all the properties of that man. And the same thing is here. The difference should be indicated and understood, that this is going to be the difference between the mother, that she never wished his death, she never wished the property, she sacrificed everything, but the young woman is doing so. I'm sorry I'm saying these things, but these are some of the realities which come outside of the of the short story that we are reading at this moment. And again, there is the hidden competition available, shown through these paragraphs. When mother wants to sit there at that time, Naz, the young wife, comes forward and she says, "Go to sleep, darling." She's told her husband, "I shall see your mother off, and of course she shall come again." So in this way, the mom, after giving the healing touch, is going to go back, and the wife is not letting her stay anymore, and she is taking the responsibility of saying goodbye to that old woman as well. And after the woman is gone, the Ma word was never repeated. He had never needed her except in his agony, and she would never need to be near him except to comfort and console. So that is the end of the short story. That is the punchline, that mother is needed only at the time when one is in pain, one is in trouble, one is in difficulty. Otherwise, this is the young woman which the man definitely needed at that time, and the young woman proved this as well, and in that way the story goes to end. So the punchline is that moms are to sacrifice, moms are to go behind, moms are to go behind the scene, and they have to live in such a way, in misery sometime, in poverty sometime, and sometime in pain as well. But they have to show their motherhood all the time. Such is the condition of the mother. I don't talk about the young woman. Perhaps she deserves this, perhaps she wants this, and perhaps this is the will and wish of a few women. But whatever the case may be, the clear-cut difference between a mother and a young woman whose husband is old, that has been indicated through the story. So traditionally, this story goes to show the greatness of mother, and the love of mother, and the sacrifice of mother. And also it goes to prove that whatever the age of man may be, whatever the condition of the man may be, ultimately he remembers her mother, the person who gave him birth, the person who fed him her milk. He remembers that, and that remembrance, that touch, that companionship goes to prove that all good for the person. Actually, we have lost all these things. No more healing touch may be available, because we don't give this much importance to our mothers, especially when we are grown up, when we are in an old age ourselves, we do not give this importance. But then, this is the reminder to all of us that the mothers are to be given importance. So in that way, this is the social teaching, social lessoning by the writer to the people, that perhaps if they are ignoring their mothers, they should not go back to their mothers and get the healing touch from them. So thank you for watching. Hopefully you have got something out of this story, understood the story. So go ahead to hit the like button and the kind of subscription button as well. Comment if it's possible for me sometime. I shall be replying. So thank you very much for watching.